most of us.
Welcome back to How Do You Like Your Coffee with Connor and Kai. But if you notice and look closely, you can see that we have a third guest here today. And that third guest is famous comedian, no other than Alex Holliday.
You keep saying famous comedian, and I'm going to take that compliment, even though it's not even remotely true.
So you got Kyler here as well as
Connor.
All right, and
Alex Holliday.
how's it going, everybody? Welcome to episode 5 of How Do You Like Your Coffee. Very happy to be here as always. Very excited for a new episode coming to you guys straight from my couch with vinyls on the wall. Let's go ahead and start our segment with putting a pin in it before we go any further. So what do we have today?
Well, today we have a very popular gin drink called a gin fizz. It's very seems like a fancy drink, but it's very easy to make. Tyler, what'd you do to this one?
Yeah, we put a little something extra in there for you. Not yours, everybody's.
I got to be able to drive home.
You have a little bit of gin, a little bit of egg whites, a little bit of lemon juice. Got some club soda, as well as
Simple syrup.
simple
right?
syrup. That's right. Thank you so much.
So
See, that's
simple.
why we needed you here.
Yep.
So that's what we got going for you guys. If you haven't tried it, try it out and give it a shot.
It's got to look.
Let's get to it.
Cheers, you know?
Ding.
Ooh,
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's nice, right?
That's refreshing.
it's very
Yeah.
mild.
It's
Yeah.
like a lemonade, but for adults.
Yeah, it's adult lemonade.
Yeah, it's not bad. I like that. What kind of notes do you guys get from that?
Lemon.
Oh.
Would you look at that? No, I like that the egg whites make it really creamy. Like it's not harsh.
Yeah, it's not
But
tough.
it's not milky either.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
It just mellows the palate. Or
I
something.
had my first gin drink at a brunch restaurant in Pacific Grove called Crema, and they serve it in a really tall glass, and it's really good. And Kyler, your rendition here is top notch.
Thank you. I appreciate that. You know, I've been wanting to showcase it to the world, and now is my chance.
Now's
So-
the chance.
Wow.
So now that putting a pin in is done, that's what we'll be sipping on today. It's going to be a good drink, good refreshing take for episode 5. So up next, I feel like it's only obligatory to introduce our first ever guest appearance, Alex Holliday. Sorry.
You make me blush.
Yeah, I thought you were already blushing.
It's nice to have him
It's
here.
my pale skin.
So what we're going to do here is we're going to ask Alex a couple questions. We're going to do a little bit of interview style, and then we're going to do a little speed round for him. See if we can catch him off guard.
Let's catch him slipping. He has not seen any of these questions before.
That's
we haven't
right.
told him anything, so it's all going to be straight off the cuff, as honest answers as he
deep,
could.
personal, just prodding at my inner trauma.
Oh, absolutely. It's going to go straight to your
100%.
past.
Yep. So Connor, why don't we just go ahead and do a little back and forth action for him? You can go ahead and start off with the first question.
All right, Alex. So we all know you are a comedian in LA, an aspiring
All three of us
comedian,
know.
upcoming, and now all of our listeners know. So
right.
what and who inspired you to become a comedian?
Ooh, some of my favorite comedians in general.
Like, what made you want to do comedy? Because you hated your job, or because somebody made you laugh?
A combination of both. I graduated college and moved back to LA, which is where I'm from. And you guys know this. I work for my dad in our family business,
Okay.
which is I'm really fortunate to have that kind of a situation. I've got a steady job, but it's doing something that it's just not what I want to be doing for the rest of my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of moved back and felt like I was in a bit of a rut, not stagnant, really. I felt like there's nowhere to go. I was working in a small business, not meeting people, and just kind of coming home down every day and looking for something more in life. And I've always been a big fan of comedy. And I would come home from work, be upset with my situation, and then watch stand-up comedy to kind of get my mind off of things.
Make you feel better and stuff?
Yeah, exactly. And over time, I was just doing it more and more, and I was getting to the point where I wanted to find a solution. I wasn't just going to sit around and mope. I needed to find something to focus that energy on. And I just kind of sat down and thought to myself, what if I could have any job in the world, what would it be?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And
Make people laugh.
yeah, and I was just watching stand-up comedy, trying to figure this out, and it just clicked. I was like, I'm in the perfect city for it. It would be,
Mm-hmm.
I would regret it forever if I didn't at least give it a shot.
Definitely.
It seems like that shot's paying off. I've seen you live a few times, and it's
Thank you, man.
got
That means
me-
a lot.
That was awesome. Who's your favorite comedian?
Favorite all time is Dave Chappelle, which that's not a special answer, but he's just the greatest ever. So
He
it's
is.
hard not to
That's a big title.
It's hard not to love him, right?
But I'm really inspired by some of the newer people out there. Not necessarily newer, but people that are just now getting some of the recognition they deserve. Like a guy, Andrew Schultz, is a New York comedian.
Okay.
He's my personal favorite right now. He's just on top of his game. He's like in his comedy prime. Really, he's changing the landscape of stand-up comedy in a really cool way. He's self-producing a lot of things. He's at the forefront of like not needing to get Netflix's approval and like kind of making his own way to become like undeniable, so that bigger like agencies and companies like Netflix want him more than he needs them. So it's kind of
that's a good way to put
not
it.
only is he a hilarious guy, but he's like a really smart comedy business mind. So he's really inspiring. And a guy named Mark Norman is a really underrated comedian out of New York. He's one of my favorites. Just some of the cleanest joke writing you'll see, like not a wasted syllable. Like it's really, really smart, good jokes from him. He just put out a special on YouTube that's really good.
Oh, very lovely.
Cool. Yeah.
So both New York comedians.
Yeah. I feel like,
New York is funny.
Yeah, New York is funny, and a lot of the comedians in LA are more accessible there. A lot of the people that are on Netflix and stuff like that. So when I like to, tell people about comedians they might not have heard of, I tend to go to those two guys because they're not on Netflix or like network TV, but they're like some of the best around.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Yeah. Go ahead and go to the next.
All right. So what do you think is what's your favorite moment you've experienced so far in comedy? It could be your most awkward moment.
Yeah, most awkward would be funny.
Yeah.
Like, have you ever gotten up there and you saw somebody just
bomb? I've seen people bomb really badly, storm off stage, but nothing like other than just like pure embarrassment for them. And that's just uncomfortable for everybody because nobody like wants to go to a comedy show and see somebody like break down on stage. That'll happen.
You hate to see that.
Would that make you laugh though?
Depends on who you are.
It makes you laugh after you go up. Like you don't laugh right in the moment because you're like, oh shit, that could be me.
Yeah.
But then if you like break through and you have a good set, then it's hilarious to like look back like, dang, that person couldn't even handle those guys. Like, that was easy.
That's rough.
But favorite, I have like a couple specific moments like where you make somebody crack that
let's
like doesn't
keep it to your top
like,
one.
There was one in particular. I was just doing a random show and there was this like older black guy in the crowd and I was telling a joke about white people with dreadlocks or no, white people with cornrows. And like I made this joke about it. I said like when a white guy gets cornrows, he's disrespecting himself a lot more than black culture. And this like 65-year-old black guy let out the loudest laugh I've ever heard. He was like crying, laughing. And it's just like, it was so satisfying because I was like, that's who I want to laugh at this joke.
I feel like that's good, especially when you're like throwing out controversial things.
Yeah, I like it because I'm not doing controversial stuff to make people upset. I'm doing it to like make people laugh at something that I think is funny. Like,
that's unfortunate because I'm growing my hair out to get cornrows. So I will.
Are you? Okay. All right. So now we got the speed round for Alex Holliday. We're gonna go ahead and give him. I don't know. We'll give him like 30 seconds on the clock. And we don't have very many questions, so it should be easy to do unless, you're
terrible at this.
We have a timer at least, so I can kind of gauge.
So to start it off, we'll just go ahead and bang, bang, bada, bing, bada, boom, all right? So number one, what's your zodiac sign? Not your favorite zodiac sign.
Pisces. Well, it's the same answer for both.
Okay.
Shoe size and glove size.
Why? I don't know my glove size.
But do you know your shoe size?
I know my shoe size. 10.
On average, how big would you say your hands are?
My hands are not long, but they're thick.
All right. Okay. Who would you rather fight? Floyd Mayweather, Mike Tyson, or Rocky Balboa?
Rocky Balboa. He's white. That's easy.
One job you would rather do other than comedy?
Professional rapper. If I could, any excuse to get face tattoos, really.
What's your most awkward first date?
Most awkward first date? Some Tinder thing, probably. I don't have a specific thing. Like showing up to a Tinder date and the girl like not quite looking like what her pictures look like.
You love a good catfish.
I'm a gentleman, so I'm still gonna like tough it out. But
you had to tough it out.
All right. Would you rather fight 1 horse-sized duck or 10 duck-sized horses?
10 duck-sized horses. Okay.
Why?
I got a mean boot on me. Send that dude flying.
I would try and train those duck-sized horses to be like a sleigh. You know,
Beat them into
Yeah.
submission.
Awesome. Well, that's our time. That's pretty good. Not bad. Not bad. All great answers, honestly.
All great
I mean, you can't lie about your zodiac sign or shoe size. So I mean, I was hoping
That was
you would
why
get those.
was that the one?
I was
Why?
just curious, you
'Cause
know.
you're tall. How tall are you? Tell
I'm
the people.
6'4".
6'4", standing tall.
Very
All
6'4".
torso. All torso. I've got normal size arms and legs.
Perfect.
You love it.
Perfect. So now that that's done, we'll go ahead and we'll get on to our album reviews. This week we actually let the fans of How Do You Like Your Coffee pick which albums that we reviewed, and which is really cool because we actually got a lot of feedback in terms of people helping out picking, so that was great. So the options were The Weeknd or Nav, and they picked Weeknd.
Nice.
They picked Childish
Gambino.
Childish Gambino
You okay there?
or J Electronica.
J Electronica, and the last one was Halsey or Dua Lipa, and they picked Halsey. So we'll start it off with The Weeknd. What is the album that we got for The Weeknd?
I believe called After Hours.
Yep.
Love it.
After Hours. Yeah, so I've listened to After Hours quite a bit without knowing. I was telling the guys before we started this that, you know, I listen to a lot of music but don't pay attention to who sings them, which is shame on me. But you know, I'm gonna start diving deeper into that and staying on top of who's singing what. But After Hours, I feel like it was a big hit when it dropped, right?
It was. You know, it was very hyped up. You know, like I personally don't listen to The Weeknd very often, or ever, to be completely honest. But I know his first album, Trilogy, I believe was the name.
It's actually 3 albums.
Yeah, that would explain the name Trilogy. That went over really well. That brought him to where he was now, and then I believe he dropped 2 albums after that, which did not live up to the hype.
Yeah.
He had the one before this one got pretty popular because that was he had like the 50 Shades of Grey song on there. I forget what it's called, but
My
he had,
thing
like,
about-
I Can't Feel My Face. That was a huge like pop
I can't feel
number
my
one.
face after drinking this drink.
My
Oh,
thing
finish.
my thing about The Weeknd though is I feel like, I don't know, you ever hear somebody in person and it sounds completely different than what it sounds like on the album?
Have you seen him in person?
I haven't seen him in person,
I've
but
seen him
listening
in
to
person.
his
He
album,
sounds exact. He's
I feel like he would not sound
incredible
the same.
singer. He has a voice of
It's not
butter
auto-tune,
and
no?
diamonds. No, he's just like I'm a big Weeknd fan, like early Weeknd fan. I hate to be one of those people who's like, oh, his old stuff was better, but I just, with this in particular, like, I love the Trilogy. I have every song on those 3 albums saved. But
That's in your sex playlist, right?
It is. It is. I mean, if you listen to any of the music, where else would it go?
Hey, straight up.
But his old stuff, or like that stuff, brought him to like fame. Was really innovative and unique.
Mhm.
And I just
What
I
about
couldn't help
After Hours, the album? Is
getting past like reminiscing about his old stuff, listening to this.
Mhm.
That's my just personal like Weeknd opinion. So it kind of just like, it was good music. It sounds great. It's just not. When I want to listen to Weeknd, I want to listen to his older stuff, so
Yeah.
I'm not going to put this on. But it's like, it's still great in The Weeknd.
Yeah, it's got that 80s sound.
Yeah.
You know, it's a mix of R&B and like 80s synth pop.
Yeah, it's
I guess you could
pretty
say.
high pitched. He has like a high voice.
Some
too.
Michael Jackson vibes for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely, 100%.
He'll never replace the king of pop, though.
Never. I saw a picture of Michael Jackson outside of like a hotel room the other day, and it had like millions of people standing outside of the hotel room. It wasn't a concert or anything. They just wanted to
Is he
see.
dangling a baby?
Like Michael
Oh.
Jackson.
No, unfortunately, not unfortunately. That's horrible to say. I should not say
My
that.
goodness.
But it was actually pretty crazy to see that there were a lot of people that just wanted to see him. But anyway, going on to our next album, we have Childish Gambino. The album itself is called 3.15.20.
Who knows?
Yeah. What I hate the most about this album, I
wow.
personally I didn't like the
Straight
album very much.
into it.
Yeah. What I hate the most about this album is that he used like the track numbers of the whole album. So the album's about an hour long, and what he did, for example, is the first song on the album is 0.0.00. The second song on the album is like 4.12 or something like that. But he uses like the numbers.
The
So
timestamps.
yeah, the
of each
timestamps.
song.
So I was
Okay.
trying to figure out
That's
how
what
is
it is.
how is anybody
It's like-
gonna know what song they're listening to, because I'm not gonna remember all those numbers.
I don't remember how long each song
I mean,
is.
numbers, letters, what's the difference?
Yeah,
That's a
it's
good
crazy.
point.
And my thing personally was that there weren't a lot of like words. It was all just pretty much beat.
A lot of instrumental. I mean,
Yeah.
I personally like the album. I mean, Childish Gambino has always been kind of like what we said about the Weeknd's first album, was innovative. It seemed pretty
It's
experimental.
different, yeah.
It's definitely different.
I feel like because he like broke out on the scene as just a regular rapper, and got notoriety and traction in that field.
Yep.
And he used that like recognition to like feel comfortable experimenting a lot more. That's what you see with Awaken My Love, his album before that.
Mhm.
And this one's even more experimental. And I like that he's like evolving and changing. That's like the one complaint that I had about the Weeknd's album was it doesn't feel like different music, but this 100% feels different, which I like.
It seems like he grew his fan base. Which
Well,
was like,
he started out as a comedian, and then he went to
comedian,
acting,
actor,
and then now a rapper.
talented. Well, he's he doesn't want to be seen as a rapper though. You know, he's like a producer and musical artist.
yeah, he's a musical artist. Exactly. That's a good
To
way to put
me,
it.
one thing I want to say about this album, I really liked it. It sounds like really good hold music. That's what I like. The
Hold-
vibe I get.
like
Like
elevator?
you're on hold. Like if that was playing, you'd be like, this makes sense and it's pretty good. Like you wouldn't mind being on hold for an hour.
I think that's the first time I've ever heard hold music as a compliment.
Yeah, that's
That's the
something.
best possible hold music.
But the songs itself, I mean, there were a couple on there that I liked, but like I said, I can't even tell you what the names.
I know. I
were
was gonna say I
because-
can't even
I
remember.
can't
the
even
names.
think of what the numbers
There was
are.
like a 3 in one of the ones that I liked.
Yeah. And some of them are pretty long. They're like 6-minute or 7-minute songs, and then some of them are 3-minute normal songs. But yeah, it was different. It was Childish Gambino. If you're watching this, my man, that
I
was
liked it more than
Like
him.
and subscribe.
I don't know,
please.
bro. Maybe just give the
me
songs
in a
some
movie.
titles, man.
Yeah,
That
give
was
us
tough.
titles.
Third album that we have for everybody is Manic by Halsey.
Manic by Halsey.
by
Yes.
Halsey, yes.
Yes.
Halsey. So my take on Halsey, I used to work at Hollister, for people who don't know, and it made me think of all the music that we play at Hollister because it was just like very like Taylor Swifty to me.
Okay.
Music
But
for
a lot of
angsty
complaining.
young
But
adults.
I will say that the songs, I actually liked a lot of the songs, and I've listened to a lot of the songs without even realizing it because I don't know names. And yeah, but what's your take?
I don't know. I think Holliday described it best as kind of a girl complaining a lot.
A rich girl.
A rich girl complaining about something.
Yeah. There's a big part of the album. One of the songs in particular is like basically addressed to her ex-boyfriend G-Eazy.
Mm-hmm.
And-
I didn't even know that they dated.
Yeah, they dated, and if you don't know who G-Eazy is, he's a rapper. And rappers are not typically known as like the most faithful partners.
Yeah,
And
that's very true.
he cheated on her. Big
Okay.
shock.
Yep.
And the whole song is like, I started dating you, and like I tried to change you, but you like wouldn't even change for me. Like you're a piece of shit. You should be sad.
Yeah, that's what the song's called, right? You should be sad.
Yeah, and it's like just her complaining that he's not more sad about the breakup is what it seems like. She's like, I came in and like tried to make you better, and you didn't want to take my advice. You should be ashamed of yourself. It's
Yeah.
the whole vibe of the song, and it's like, I get it. It's like terrible that he cheated on her, but like he's a rapper. You can't really like expect.
Yeah, that's hard to have two celebrities dating. I mean, there's
Yeah.
so much going on in your life.
I mean, Taylor Swift will tell you.
Oh, and she has. She tells all of her fans and all of her songs.
But it's like, it's
More.
so crazy because they still make money off of all those songs that are about all these heartbreaks.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's huge
It's
for
like-
her career.
Absolutely.
It's like-
We saw it on the.
She should be happy. She
Yeah.
shouldn't be sad.
If Taylor,
about
if
this.
Taylor Swift didn't have as many breakups as she did, she would not be as rich.
That's a good point.
That's true.
That's a very good point.
But
money doesn't buy happiness,
yeah.
Kyler.
So,
Oh.
does anybody have any takes on the songs from the album itself?
I mean,
She has an incredible voice.
she does. No,
Really-
absolutely. Credit where
Yeah.
credit is due. Like that girl can sing like it's no one else's
Yeah, that's
business.
good. You
man.
know what So the album cover for Manic reminds me of 11 from Stranger Things.
Oh, it reminds me of David Bowie. a lot.
I was gonna say David Bowie, but
And-
now that you bring up 11 from Stranger Things, that's all that's on my head right
It's just
now.
a girl with short hair.
Yeah, it's yeah, but
or
she
like
looks
because
just
of
like
the internet, the Childish Gambino one. It's just a close up of his face.
Oh yeah,
It's not-
exactly.
yeah.
Exactly.
That's the thing about the
Pink
Childish
orange.
Gambino album, though, is it's just a white album
Yeah.
cover. There's nothing even on it. It's
You're
like
supposed to imagine the album
Yeah,
cover.
I
Just like
guess.
you're supposed to imagine the name of the song. So he
Yeah,
gave you
and the words. You're
timestamps.
supposed to
Yeah.
imagine those too.
Write the album yourself is what he told all his fans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, we're on to Brian.
So Halsey has a bright path, I think.
Yeah, I mean, she's definitely going to be one of the top artists.
Yeah,
in
she's
the
like
industry.
24.
Yeah, she's 24.
Yeah.
Goodness
She,
gracious.
well, she mentions in one of her songs that she's not even 25.
Oh, that's right.
So I don't know.
So
when
she's
her
at
birthday
least
is.
24 or less.
Probably.
Yeah. If she's not lying in her music.
Yeah, but
Could be.
so to go off of brighter paths, what are some brighter paths that we got?
So Goldman Sachs, very popular bank, very big name.
Yep.
Oh, wait.
Obviously, music industry took a big hit, blah, blah, blah. We talk about it every episode. We all know that. But Goldman Sachs is expecting the music industry to nearly double in value by the end of 2020. So 2030, they expect the music industry to be worth around $142 billion.
That is a lot of moon rocks.
That is a lot of moon rocks. And just last year, the music industry was valued at $77 billion. And so that's going to be a huge jump in 10 years. Once this is over, they expect everything to just skyrocket straight up.
That's crazy.
Which is that's insane.
We haven't asked Holliday yet. What would you do with that much billions?
That much Skrilla?
Yeah. What would you do with $100 billion?
Well, I would start my rap career.
Rap name. What's your rap name?
Oh.
Kodak White?
I mean, that's like the easy one, but I want to be a little bit more unique than that. Wow, you put me on the spot.
That should have been in the hot seat questions.
Yeah.
Dang.
That's all right. We'll come back to you.
Call you Beanie
So
Boy.
$100 billion. Beanie Boy. I like
Fizz,
that. Gin Fizz. Ooh,
Gin
that's kind of
Fizz.
cool, actually.
I don't mind that at all. I'd listen to you.
So Goldman Sachs, $100 billion.
$142 billion.
$142 billion.
It's crazy. Jeff Bezos
And within
is
the
worth
next
more than the entire music industry.
So, but
trillionaire.
so with brighter paths, to get to that bright future, there was obviously rough roads ahead. Goldman Sachs is expecting the music industry to drop 75% in value or 75% revenue this year.
Okay.
Obviously, because nothing is going on.
And like Big Sean, they're going to bounce back.
And they're going to bounce back. Exactly. So they expect a strong rebound due to eager fans, new licensing opportunities for artists. And like they said, they expect it to grow to $142 billion by the end of 2029. Yeah.
That's crazy. I couldn't even, if I had as much expectation for this podcast as Goldman Sachs does in the next 10 years, we would have been famous already.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, if you had
if I had the money,
billions of dollars, I would have billions of dollars.
So now I'm going to have to raise my expectations and shoot for that $142 billion mark.
Yep.
You're gonna have to.
I hope you share a little bit. I love that.
I love to get back to the people.
I'm the people. So yeah, I mean, going off of that, with these hard times and the 75% revenue drop that Goldman Sachs is predicting, Spotify is trying to cut down costs on rent at headquarters and other offices by letting their full-time employees, which is a little over 4,000, work from home all the way till 2021 and even throughout 2021.
Nice.
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah,
I mean, that's a great opportunity for those employees. If you feel comfortable.
Save some money for the Joe Rogan contract.
That's a long time to be working from home.
That's a long time to work from home. I've only been doing it for 3 months now, and I am losing my mind working at. I'm working at my kitchen table, and it creaks every time you press the keyboard. God. It's really annoying. It's really hard to focus.
So we got Joe Rogan on Spotify.
Yeah. So Spotify and the Joe Rogan Experience podcast reached a deal, and this was insanely big for Spotify. Their market value passed $35 billion after they released the exclusivity of the Joe Rogan podcast on Spotify.
He's only on Spotify now, though, right?
Starting September. Yeah. Starting September 1st, he'll only be on Spotify, as well as his videos.
Yeah, at the end of the year, I think it goes fully exclusive with videos, and then they're going to phase starting September 1st.
Which is going to be a big hit for YouTube. I mean, YouTube, they could take a hit like that, but
David Dobrik, they're fine.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, and so with that being said, in one day, the day after they announced Joe Rogan's exclusivity on Spotify, the stock value for Spotify went up 9% in less than 24 hours.
That's pretty good.
That is insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, they.
What's 10% of $1 million? It's a lot. That's all. It went up a lot.
100,000.
10,000.
That should have been in the speed round.
It probably is 100,000.
It's 100,000, 10% of $1 million. Okay. He's a comedian, not a mathematician.
I took calculus too in college.
So last year, the Joe Rogan Experience had 190 million downloads per month.
That's crazy.
That is insane. I want some Joe Rogan fans coming to check out How Do You Like Your Coffee.
Yeah, that's right. Like and subscribe.
They also, and Forbes said that the Joe Rogan Experience podcast makes $30 million a year.
Damn.
Just the podcast, not everything else Joe Rogan does, such as UFC, which I'm sure he makes
Yeah, and
No.
comedy, he's like one of the biggest comedians in the world.
Exactly.
Obviously.
The man has his feet in all
He
different moves.
he started out in UFC though, right?
No, comedy.
He started a comedy,
Yeah,
right?
he's been a comedian since he was 21.
Yeah.
Oh,
basically.
okay.
But he also, I believe, he fought for a little bit.
Yeah, he was like I know too much about him because I'm in his field. That's why.
Exactly. You need to know your field, right?
Yeah, that's
That's
he
good.
did like Taekwondo or something like that.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's a baller.
That's wild.
He's short, but he can kick your ass.
Floyd Mayweather, Rocky,
Feel
or
like
Joe
a-
Rogan?
Honestly, if I'm being honest with those, I'd probably fight Floyd Mayweather because he seems like the least strong of all those people.
Yeah, he's probably the smallest too,
Yeah.
and you'll probably make the most money
That's true.
off of losing a fight to him.
Look at Conor McGregor.
Yeah, Conor McGregor got his
I
ass
can
kicked, and
talk
that
some
man
shit
made
to
millions.
Floyd. You can't read Floyd Mayweather.
What,
If you're hearing this, I'll fight you for a lot of money.
Oh, he's gonna be at your doorstep now.
I hope so. Please.
Money
I need
team.
money.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's pretty cool though. Only on Spotify, starting September. That's awesome.
Yeah.
A little bit,
This is
you know.
tasty.
Yeah, it's so good. Gin fizz is so nice. So going on to the next, New Zealand. I heard some news is going on in New Zealand.
News in New Zealand.
That's
Yes,
right.
sir.
Call it the New Zealand.
Some may say they're jumping the gun. Some may say they're opening up at just the right time. But New Zealand is launching it's called the Together Again series. It's a series of concerts that starts on May 29th, so very soon.
Okay,
Wow.
that's like next week.
That is next Friday, exactly.
Jeez.
Yeah.
And they are starting live events again. It'll be a lot of local acts, comedians, musicians, poets, whatever. I don't know who's
Is
going to see a
anyone
poet.
going to see poets?
Yeah.
I think
But-
that's a good point to like branch off on. Is it a good time to be reopening everything?
Well, I mean, it differs by country. I mean, New Zealand got hit really, or excuse me, they did not get hit very hard with the coronavirus. I mean, their kids are already back to school.
Yeah, I mean, they're like a tiny island with like,
Yeah.
that's easy to lock down.
Exactly.
There are three places I always mix up, and it's Greenland, Iceland, and New Zealand. And New Zealand's on the bottom of Australia.
The
Correct.
Greenland and Iceland, those are okay.
Those are like, yeah, they're like right next to each other. Right?
Yeah,
They're
that's
somewhat
like
near each other.
geography is not my
Sweden,
forte,
Norway.
but nonetheless.
Some
But,
Europe.
So reopening May 29th.
Yeah, and they're gonna have so it's gonna be at this small venue called the Tuning Fork, not
Okay.
turning, but tuning,
Like
like,
a-
you tune a guitar. Yeah, like the
Bada
whatever
bing and
that's
bada
called.
boom,
Yeah.
A tuning fork.
A tuning fork.
Full
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. But
circle.
it's not going to be back to normal immediately. They're only allowing 100-person cap in the venue.
Cats?
Nope, not cats. That would be weird.
Yeah,
Cats. So they're only allowing 100 people
Thanks,
inside
guys.
the venue. Everyone is going to get temperature screened. All staff will be wearing masks and protective gear. Obviously their sanitation will be up in the venue. They'll be wiping down every.
And washing their hands, probably.
And I would hope so. I mean, that should happen
Strict
with any
no
staff.
hand washing policy.
Build your immune system. But yeah, that starts May 29th, and it looks like, and it's by Live Nation, Live Nation New Zealand. So Live Nation,
Nice.
they're huge. They're starting their way towards normality again.
we talked about them episode 4.
Yes, we did.
And if you didn't watch it, go ahead and watch it, like and subscribe.
Watch it.
Live Nation. Wow.
But
Okay.
Yeah, so New Zealand's getting back to normal. What is the states doing to get back to normal? What are some new things going
Yeah.
on here?
I heard that they're bringing back a couple sports, or maybe just one sport. Or do you know anything about that?
So the NBA, starting the beginning of next month, they are going to be like talking about reopening. They're going to be like moving forward with their plan of like reinstating the season, or at least giving more news about it. They're kind of thinking of doing it in 2 different locations with not quite like a bubble, but like a very restricted, minimal access in and out area for the teams. One's going to be in Vegas and Disney World.
I was gonna say, yeah, I
Walt
saw
Disney
something
Crazy.
at Walt Disney
World.
World.
Yeah, because they have plenty of space.
Yeah,
they sure
and
do.
No
And-
people.
Yep.
But,
That's great because all I see online is Korean baseball,
Yep.
Ugh.
cornhole,
Ooh, yeah.
ping pong.
Ugh,
Saw a little bit of maybe axe throwing was on there.
that's
because,
not a sport.
Yeah.
That's a pastime.
Guys.
Barely.
But that's awesome. That's awesome that they're coming back to normal.
I know, it's the
NBA
one
is-
sport
I
I
hope
really
so,
care
yeah.
about. Laker Nation.
Yeah, dude, that's crazy. That's awesome, though. That means that we're starting to get back to a little bit of normalcy and starting to see some things pop up. Speaking of things popping up, to get into a little bit of the real world with the people, there's some news right now that's saying that there is first recording of new planetary new planetary formation, which is really cool.
I love that.
Yeah, and so what that means to the people is that there are now recordings or videos or telescopic findings of planets coming together from dust and debris and everything in space and making new planets, which is crazy.
Where is this in relation to us?
It is. Let me go ahead and bring out my handy dandy. This is about 520 light years away.
That's so close.
Yeah, that's, you think that that's actually pretty far, but it is actually pretty close, speaking in terms of light years. So for those who don't know, light years is how far light can travel in a year, which makes sense. But nonetheless, that is actually pretty close in terms of everything that we have in our universe, which is cool.
Mm-hmm.
They found this on the VLT in Chile. What do you think VLT stands for?
Velociraptors love
Very low testosterone.
Very close, gentlemen. It stands for Very Large Telescope.
Oh, wow, that is incredibly clever.
Very Large Telescope in Chile, VLT, saw this new planetary formation, which is really cool because that's something we've never recorded before. And that just kind of sparks the thoughts about, how did we get here? How did the planets that we're on now come to be, which is kind of a
in
weird
the
thought.
Bible. I'm kidding.
So that's actually another interesting topic because you can kind of go on, if you're a man of science, how are you a man of religion and all these different things, which is actually very controversial in terms of, what do you believe? And it's hard. I think about this a lot, right? Is how does a doctor or a scientist and all these other people also believe in certain religions? Because that's something that is, very opposite. And
I'll tell you what their answer would be. Being I went to Christian school for the first half of my life would be faith.
Yeah.
Faith. Like, I have faith. Okay.
but
that's a very blind
the
answer.
science is showing, in fact, that there is a start to these planetary formations, which is really awesome because we've never recorded that before. So that's just something that you guys should look it up if you haven't looked it up yet, or if you haven't heard about it.
So, do you think they may not know. Are these types of planets going to be life-sustaining?
So these planetary formations take a long time to form, right? And so if you think about how old the Earth is, I can't think about it off the top of my head, but it's in the billions. Yeah, it's definitely in the billions. It takes a long time. So in our lifetime, no. But right now, I think that they're saying they believe they're going to be gaseous type of planets like Saturn and Jupiter. So it's going to be a little complicated, but who knows? In a billion years, Jupiter or Saturn could be solid formations that support life. So that's cool.
Oh, that is true. That's
and
cool to think
if
about.
there's more, there's more planets and more solar systems forming
all the time.
Every
It's
second.
ridiculous to think that there's just
Yeah,
nothing
and
out
it's
there.
crazy. I mean, we
can get into aliens.
Yeah, we
for
do all the time, right? We talked about the alien findings from the
DOD. They released that UFO footage. They didn't say it was aliens, but they're like, "Yo, we don't know what this is, but here's the footage. What do you think?"
Yeah,
it's all.
Yeah, it's crazy. I don't know. It's nuts to me to actually have recording of these new planets forming is awesome and it's really cool.
That's super cool. I don't know why that's not top of the news, but you heard it here first.
Yeah, you heard it here first because on the news it's all coronavirus and who's gonna win the next election and stuff. And we want to bring you guys the new news.
Yeah.
Fun news.
The fun news or science news that isn't fun that we want to make fun for you guys and laugh a little bit with our famous comedian first guest appearance, Alex Holliday.
I'm famous. You heard it here first, folks.
He has. Yep.
So to get on to the next,
Instagram.
The National Science Foundation, I believe, is where I saw this. Is they just found 4 new species of scale worms in the deep sea ocean.
What is a scale worm?
That it doesn't sound as exciting, but it looks like kind of like a rainbow-colored caterpillar deep in the ocean where there's no oxygen, no light. And what's actually really interesting is they found one species by a underground thermal vent. Yep, found it by a thermal vent. And found it by a thermal vent. But normally they're found by whale falls, which is really cool. And whale falls are basically where dead whales fall. And all these worms basically eat the debris.
A whale buffet.
That doesn't sound that interesting. Why do we care about 4 new species of scale worms?
Tell me why.
The reason that we care is because there is so much of the ocean that's undiscovered. And it's crazy to me. When I saw this, I was like, that's not as exciting. But what is exciting is to think about how many other species of things there are that have not been found. Could you imagine swimming down to the deep sea where there's no light, no oxygen? You'd probably die. So I can't imagine that you could imagine.
I can imagine.
But you come up on something and then all of a sudden the lights flick on, and there's like 3 different types of sharks or fish in front of you. I would lose my mind.
I would probably pee my pants.
Yeah. And what's funny about that is
Too much pressure to pee. It just goes
Oh,
right back.
I'd probably be dead.
so much ocean has not been discovered that when you turn those lights back on, you'd probably see a new species that nobody's ever seen before, which is crazy. So that's pretty cool.
We could look under my bed and find a new species, I bet.
Well, okay.
Yep.
So that's pretty cool. They found these in the deep sea of the East Pacific Ocean off the coast of Mexico and Costa Rica, which is really awesome.
Hell yeah.
And they did all the DNA findings and found that they were, in fact, 4 different species.
That's cool.
What are some other new things?
Yeah, so to get on to more interesting things, the National Science Foundation funded a research project at North Carolina State University for Tar Heel State, that's right.
Yeah.
A new soft robot. And you're like, what's a soft robot?
A robot that is soft.
Yeah,
It's like-
so
Not hard.
they actually did some research on how to increase the speed of a little tiny robot. The picture showed it about 4 inches long or 3 inches long, and it went 3 times faster than the known soft robot that created. It kind of looks like if a Lego was a Jello brick and it had little plastic legs on it. That's what it looked like. That's not what's interesting. Well, it is if you care. If you don't care, what's interesting is to think about the future when they start making these life size.
Terrifying.
Yeah.
I was going to say, it sounds like Terminator.
Imagine
starting its rounds.
No canine dogs, and now all they have is canine robots. Could
So
you imagine?
iRobot. Moving on. I don't think it went well for the
It
people.
did not go
Oh,
well
wow.
for us.
So that's I could not imagine. You're locked in your house. You're holding hostages, and all of a sudden a robot dog runs in.
Punch it in the face.
Yeah.
If it's anything like Mila, you're dead.
You just gotta unplug it, I guess. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
So that's pretty cool. The last thing we're gonna talk about is this parallel universe talk. I didn't even write any notes on it because I did so much research to
We're
see
in a
how crazy it was.
simulation, So why would you write
Exactly.
notes?
So
It's all this data.
this is crazy. I've been seeing this go on social media, and I just want to shed some light on it so that the people understand what's happening. You are not going to wake up and accidentally trip and fall into a hole and wake up into another universe. That's not how this
How do you
works.
know that?
Dang it. That's what I
don't.
wanted to happen.
So what this topic is there's a hot air balloon looking structure in Antarctica. They have it at a site called the Ice Cube, which
Creative.
Another clever name for science.
the hot air balloon is called ANITA, which stands for Antarctic Impulse ANITA Telescope.
You're
it's
the
ANITA.
science guy.
It's
I don't know.
ANITA.
I forgot the end.
I forgot the acronym, but
New,
it's cool.
something
Yeah.
new.
So what they do is they get these subatomic particles that come from space, and they hit the hot air balloon, and they're able to say, okay, these are the type of subatomic particles. But what they found is that they have some subatomic particles that are coming up from the Earth, and they're saying that they're defying all laws of physics. But what they're not taking into consideration is how much ice is on Antarctica.
A lot.
And so, some of the more
Subatomic particles.
level-headed people are saying that maybe the subatomic particles are coming from space, hitting the ice and bouncing back. But, that's like the news portion of it. But I kind of want to get into the little perception of parallel universe.
Do you think that there's like parallel universes? Universi?
I don't think that there are parallel universes here, but what I do think is there are probably
Like in
universes.
China or something? That you don't know?
Yeah. Some maybe on other planets or the new planetary formations that are forming. Maybe they'll have life just like ours. And
Okay, so you think like the other, like another solar system, something like that, could be.
maybe there's
like the
another
same
famous
idea of a
comedian,
parallel.
Alex Holliday, on another
Maybe
solar
he's
system.
actually famous.
But that'd be crazy. I couldn't imagine, man. I looked up what the definition of a parallel universe is, and it's basically our world, but the opposite.
Yeah.
And I couldn't even, yeah. So to people watching this that care, they did not say that there's a parallel universe. They said that there is possibility of new research promoting the idea of parallel universe. There is not, in fact, a parallel universe.
That has not been confirmed.
It has not been confirmed.
Which
And
everyone seems to think it has been confirmed on.
Well, yeah, I mean, you saw
online.
Rick and Morty.
dude, that's the first.
definitive proof that it's parallel universe.
That's actually the first thing I
You
thought
can't
about.
just make something like that up.
Yeah,
That's true.
that's the first thing I thought about when I thought of parallel universe was
Well,
Rick and Morty.
It's confirmed.
That's crazy, but yeah. So do your research, people. That's what we're trying to get at.
What do you think the parallel universe Kyler would be? You're KY the science guy here.
He would be
It's YK,
TZ, the TVG, I guess.
TZ the TVG.
Yeah.
Wow,
What does
that's
that
a
even mean?
mouthful.
I don't know, but it's the opposite of KY the science guy. It's a whole different syllable context.
Those are different letters and stuff. You're right.
But yeah, so that's pretty cool. What's your guys' take? What if I asked you before, what happens if you ran into a doppelganger that looked just like you from another planet? Alien comes down and he's like, I'm Alex Holliday, and you're like, whoa, bro. I'm Alex Holliday.
I feel like we'd have to work together, do a kind of.
You guys would do a team.
I'd make him do all the tasks that I don't want to do, and then I get to live my life.
You get to do it like the Parent Trap. If anyone's seen that movie, it's
Yeah.
two twins switch places.
He would be my slave.
Ooh, you guys could
Hey,
team
it's
up.
fine.
You guys could team up and fight Floyd Mayweather together.
Ooh, you wouldn't know what hit
some
him.
money, yeah.
But anyway, just want to leave you guys on that note. It's not true. Universe or parallel universe is
But
not
you can't
real.
say for sure.
But it is getting to the point to where they're finding new discoveries. So that's cool. Always do your research, people. Review your albums. Listen to some good music. If you guys have any take on what we should review next, go ahead and bring it to us. We love to collab and reach out to everybody.
Yep, check out our Instagram. We'll put up a poll for you guys to vote on what albums you want us to review
Yes,
next.
sir.
Any aspiring artists or musicians, send us your stuff.
Or comedians.
Or comedians. We'd love to have you on the show. We'd love
I'm
to
the
review
only
your
comedian
stuff.
allowed. Okay.
Alex Holliday is the exclusive comedian. Maybe our stock value will go up now that Alex Holliday is
Yeah.
exclusive on here.
Probably not.
It'll probably go down.
We kind of talked about in the future, we don't want to do so many famous albums, but maybe get some feedback from musicians. Send us your albums, and we'll review them on here for you guys, get you guys a little bit more of a fan base, and get people listening to your content. That'd be really awesome.
That would be great for everybody.
Go ahead and check us out on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and TikTok. We'll be in new TikToks every week.
Yep.
And it's going to be a great time.
And we're going to have a new TikTok with Alex
Oh
Holliday.
yeah, check me out on there as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, check them out. How many? What happened with your video today?
Hey, it's not like a funny video. It's just like a Kid's Choice Award. I'm looking through.
But it
They're
broke-
kind of cool. Yeah, it
broke
got like
100,000
100,000 views in a couple days.
Yeah, I mean,
TikTok is weird though. It doesn't mean anything. I'm
not
trying
to
put
toot his
stock
horn,
in it,
but it'll be good. I would
follow
put
me.
stock in
Mr.
TikTok.
Holiday, MisterHolliday.
Ooh.
It's complicated.
Quick flex. All right, people, stay tuned for episode 6. We'll be coming at you guys kind of live, and we'll see you then. Let's
It's
get
live in the moment.
Stay tuned, people. Let's go.